I live in a state where it's so legal you could just sit in a chair on your front lawn and do bong rips. That's where we've come as a society. It's sort of wild, you know, when you think of some of these old albums and people getting busted for things and all that. And it's like, I live in a state where you can just go to there's like a half dozen stores within minutes of my house, and I could just sit there and, you know.
Isn't that crazy to think about, though? Like, yeah, just like think about like just 10 years ago, it probably wasn't. I'm not sure when it was legal there. Well, my state, it's still not legal, but like all around me, it is. Every other state around me, it is.
This episode is going to fall across April 20th, otherwise known as 420. And it's for a reason that we're going to be doing our top 3 most high albums. These are not the albums that are like, hey, if you are high, you should listen to them. Although in many cases, that will probably be an accurate description. But this is, the albums themselves are probably super high, and the musicians who recorded them were probably super high when they recorded the following albums. And we're doing this special episode in honor of 420 Day here, in tribute for the Record Players podcast. Also because record jackets have been used to sort weed for how many decades now?
This is true.
Yeah.
Have you ever, speaking of that, have you ever bought a used record and had like seeds or something in it before?
No.
I've never had that happen to me, but I have heard of people that have.
Yeah, I have heard that too.
Especially if, you know, if you get like some 60s and 70s presses and stuff, people have said they have found seeds or, you know, other like papers or something. But no, I have never had it happen to me personally, but I just wondered. My number 3, you know, I don't really have to describe it at all. The name of the band is called Bongzilla, and it's called Weedconsin. All you need to know.
Weedconsin is such a good name for an album. I just absolutely love that name.
And the pressing, of course, you know, like fits the motif, as it were. It's psychedelic. It's almost death metal. And the only reason why I have this, I was in a record store. I'm like flipping through at this record store in the not new releases, but the why am I drawing a blank? The recently added section of this record store, right? Flipping through, I see this cover and I'm like, that is amazing. And then I see the name of the band and it's like $10 and I'm like, I'm buying this.
Oh, heck yeah.
For $10. You know, I don't care if this thing sucks. This is just like for $10, this is coming home with me.
I love that album. I didn't hear it until we were doing prep for the show, and then I was just like, wow, what a great album. I bet that would be a fun concert to go to as well. So,
I bet.
So you've got a modern album. We're going to go way back to the 1960s on this one. And this is really an album that pretty much defines the era. It's the band called The Zodiac, and the name of the album is Cosmic Sounds. The Zodiac isn't really a real band, however. They're a bunch of studio musicians who got into a studio and proceeded to make very psychedelic songs that match this album cover about the various parts of astrology. So all the different, you know, Scorpios and Libras and Pisces and Leos, each song is themed about one of them and has a narrator explaining what people are who are these things in a very, very groovy way.
Taurus, broad-shouldered bearer of hope, strong, steady, silent motion. As patient as space.
Yeah, I was not familiar with this until I saw your list, and then I checked that album out, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm listening to right now, but
I should have put the disclaimer in before rather than after the clip, most likely. But I will warn you, this album is in bad shape, and it's because it is actually a fairly rare album. If you're going to get it in good condition. And this was just a cheapie that's all beat up. But it so clearly made this list that I just wanted to include it. But it's going to hurt an audiophile's ears to hear my audio rip of this one.
So, Led Zeppelin, right? And Bob Marley. What would happen if you would put those two together?
They would definitely smoke weed.
But then, not just that. Then you get somebody that sings like Elvis and dresses like Elvis. You would get my number 2, which is by a band called Dread Zeppelin.
What gonna say, what gonna do? What gonna say, what gonna do? Let me tell you about the girl I love. When does she look so fine? She's the only one I'm thinking of. Maybe someday she will be all mine. One, tell her that I love her so, and I'm through with your every touch. One, tell her she's the only one I really love.
I don't know how to describe this, but the lead singer looks and sings like Elvis. Then it's reggae, but they're doing classic Led Zeppelin songs. I don't know how to describe this other than that. Which I'm sure if you were partaking at the time, it would make more sense to you.
I've known about Dread Zeppelin for quite some time, and the thing that always strikes me about it is it's weird how well it works.
I know, that's what's bizarre. Like, then again, that is another one I picked up. I was just flipping through at a record store, and it was cheap, and I'm like, okay, I'll give this a shot. Got it home, cleaned it, listened to it, and I'm like, this actually does work. Like, all these songs work very well reggae style. Like, it's like all of them work well. Like Houses of the Holy in particular, if you have never heard the Dread Zeppelin version of Houses of the Holy, do yourself a favor and listen to that. It's pretty remarkable.
Pretty remarkable is what you could call my number 2, which is Dr. John, the Night Tripper, Gree Gree. Now, the thing about Dr. John is he is one of the most famous musicians of the 70s for Right Place, Wrong Time.
Right, yep.
Monster hit that changed his career. But before he was the pop hit guru, he was Dr. John the Night Tripper for this one album, which is super far out and really about kind of New Orleans drenched sort of voodoo is, I think, the best way to describe it.
Ain't afraid of no tomcat, fill my brains with poison. Walk through the fire, fly through the smoke. See my enemy at the end of their road. Walk on pins and needles, see what they can do. Walk on gilded splinters with the king of the Zulu. Dang, I'm at a come, make you come, walk on gilded splinters.
I knew who Dr. John was, but I wasn't familiar with that particular one until this list, and then I was like exploring it a little bit, and I'm just like, okay.
It's such a departure to have to see him do that to go to what his mainstream was, but clearly that wasn't a big commercial success for him. So the opportunity to get into the record industry, whatever, and make these big hits was what he did instead. But it's just so funny that he's got that early origin. I actually really like the album, although I also think it's very much an artifact of its time. But I really enjoy the album too. I think it's super unique.
My number 1 is going to be a band. They are kind of thrown into that groove rock. They're hard to describe. They're kind of all over the place. They're one of my favorite bands. It's a band that's called Clutch. they are genre defining because they kind of do their own thing. And they're another one of those bands like I talked about on our alternative list. They kind of change from album to album, but yet they say the same. You can tell it's Clutch.
A king is born, Dodge Swinger. Jesus on the dashboard, yeah. Whenever it feels right, whenever it feels right, whenever it feels right.
Tell me there was not some things that were done before they wrote and recorded that song. But yeah, this is just good sludge groove. Just you like put this on, you go for a trip. Once you listen to the song that I ripped out this album, you'll go on a trip and you'll see why I say that.
My number one is also actually probably one of my top 20 favorite records, and that is Lee Perry. This is before he became Lee Scratch Perry. Lee Perry, Kung Fu Meets the Dragon. This is one of those that I bought simply because of the album cover, and of course I did.
I would have bought that too, just
right?
the cover. Well, of course you did. I would be disappointed if you would not have bought that.
Yeah, but turns out it was also a really far out, super duper high, but also really good version of mid-70s Jamaican dub music. And it's one of Lee Perry's best albums, I think. And it's a fantastic sounding album, too. I absolutely love this album. But there is no question whatsoever that there was a whole bunch of stuff going on when they were recording this album. So
we know how that album was made. And that's, I think, all of our lists
clean
so
living.
Far today.
It wasn't clean living.